Minasan konnichiwa, Zamurai Engineer desu. Today, let us continue our webinar series of discussion NFPA 101 or the Life Safety Code. So let us go to our presentation. I am your professor, Dr. EYPEI Zantua. I am an alumni of Polytechnic University, Japan, as a government scholar of Japan. In this series, we will discuss code provision of NFPA 101. So this is module 1.3. Again, Life Safety Code addresses specific requirements on safety to life and both new construction and existing buildings. We have in this part 1, number 1, code organization, code chapters, occupancies, annexes, and navigating the code. In this particular presentation, we are under the code organization, where we are going to tackle the concepts, technical changes, code provision and explanation, and notices and disclaimers. So we are on module 1.3, so we are on code provisions and explanations. So let us start. Basic philosophy of the code 101, presented in chapter 1 to 11 and chapter 43. So these chapters are those chapters that explain the general philosophy, the basic philosophy of the code. Okay. So, for example, we have building blocks as described in chapter 1 to be understood and correctly applied. So, what are those? Primarily, the building blocks of the scope, purpose, and application. So, this would settle us and give us the guidance on what to expect on the broad subject of NFPA 101. Although any part of the code might be relevant and directly applicable to a specific type of structure or occupancy, the user is encouraged to develop, meaning the user, we. There are several types of users, like us, like everybody. Okay? A sound understanding of the rudimentary concept of occupant life safety. Sound, okay? Critical, detailed, useful, okay? Based on experience. So based on the necessary, most important ones. Okay? Rudimentary concepts. So we are guided by this philosophy. Working understanding. So that is what we meant by rudimentary. Includes recognizing where code applies and extent to which the designer, AHJ, or both. Okay, we are engineers, we are the designer. AHJ, authorities who would approve, or both engineers and AHJ should apply the code requirements for new existing buildings. Working understanding, because codes provisions are there, but there are instances, there are situations that outside of the code, there are possible, possible technical elements that may be used for the purpose of minimizing the danger to life. So this is what we mean by rudimentary. Both the designer, the engineers, the professionals, the fire protection professionals. As an example, we have 1.3.1 and its associated annex materials. So this is what we mean by working understanding of the rudimentary. Working, your understanding works. Okay? Okay? There are several types of understanding. Okay? Your understanding might work, your understanding might not work. We will set aside those understanding that will not work. We will focus on those understanding that are working. Say, when you say it's working, there are evidences. There are evidences that it is really uh, utilized and to be effective and efficient. Without which, how can you say that you your system is working? The system cannot be working by just being an idea. An idea is great. An idea is a blueprint. It's a plan. But you cannot say that it's working, okay, unless it is installed, it is put up, it is tested and tested, commissioned, constructed, and so on. So we can find that we have a working safety installation in the building. For 30 years, it was able to uh, protect the occupant of that building effectively, efficiently. There are various that happen in 30 years, but anyway, the system works. And because of that, the system was able to minimize each and every incident, minimize the damage in each of the incidents that happened before. So, what? That system installed in the building is what we call a working example. Okay? And we say it is rudimentary because we are not 100% sure the code accept that fact that it is not 100% sure. However, based on experience, based on research, based on studies, multitude of studies, there are multitude of studies. So because of that, they found out that this code is a working requirement, work standard. So, in view of this, they acknowledge that there are still some instances that may not be addressed by the code. Okay? So, because of that, they leave it to the designer and AHJ or both to apply the code requirements, even though there is a situation that it is not fit on that particular installation, on that particular structure. Okay? We will look into it in more details why I said that explanation. Okay? It will become clearer later on. So what happened? So we have here the Next, next has be an occupancy-based code that is written and formulated so user may go directly to the applicable occupancy chapter. What are those chapters? Chapters 1 to 2. Those code provisions are very specific to each and every type of occupancy. So there are what? There are general, uh, basic philosophy, explanation, and provision of the code. And next, we have occupancy-based code, which is specific to each and every type of occupancy classification. Provided the user is familiar with the occupancy classification criteria, he or she can directly go that chapters. Okay. So it is the first step that a professional would look into occupancy classification. If you are already familiar with it, then go to the next step. So we are having a very step-by-step procedure on how the code should be applied. Recommended. You can use the code whatever you like in your own effective way. Each and every firm can have different way of studying, different way of looking at the code, different way of searching the code requirements in the book. So you can do it, but we have what? A very still clear, short, and very easy step-by-step procedure on locating our needed code provisions inside the very thick. So the occupancy chapter provides complete roadmap to the user to all needed portions of the core chapters. So we again have what we call core chapters. Core chapters are those chapters 1 to 4 and 6 to 11 and 43. And the other chapter is chapter 5, which is a different thing, but is still core chapter of different kind. So we have here they develop the A, basic life safety concepts, and B, offer a host of protection tools, systems, and features. So we have protection tools, systems, and features. It is different from the core chapters of other tools, but in NFPA101 we have what? Basic life safety concepts. These are basic philosophy and protection tool systems features are there. So aside from the open chapter, we will be directed to look back. Look back the core chapters are only located on the earlier chapters. So occupancy chapters are located at the latest are the last part of the code. Now, who are the users of the code? So we float the idea that the users, different users, you and me are users of the code. Who are the users of the code? Hey, students. For example, I am a student of the code, depending upon the code. So there are codes that I know, there are codes that I don't know. So those codes that I know, I am a professional of that code. But those codes that I don't know, I am a student of that code. So it depends on the code. So NFPA101, we have students who study the code chapter by chapter in um, sequence, no? In ascending order. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chapters. Okay? But professional, typically, they consult the occupancy chapters first. So they go directly the projects at the end. And then reference only those portions of the core chapters that apply to the project at hand as directed by occupancy chapter. So there are looking back and forth, but will be focusing on the occupancy chapter. So whenever the occupancy chapter will to look back to this core chapter, that's the time you have to look it back. Why we have to do it as a professional? Because the priority of the code to be applied is the occupancy chapters. That is the priority. Meaning, if there are instances that the requirements written in the core chapter and there are another or different requirements written on occupancy chapter, the occupancy requirements would take precedence. Okay? They would take precedence over the core chapters. That is the rule. So it is very important that we know that if there are conflict, for example, conflicting rules, requirements, provision, so the occupancy chapters would always take precedence over the core chapters. So that is all about the general description of code vision and its explanation. And would like you to like, share, subscribe to our free tutorial channel. We have several playlists for engineering, different engineering, for high school, for language learners. We have free tutorial Japanese language. So we are asking you to post an ad for minimum sponsorship fee in order for you to support our activities, what we are doing as an advocacy to help other people through this free tutorial channel, mainly focusing on engineering education. So please give your peso to peso fund our advocacy. Written here are our contact details and GCash. Thank you very much, everybody, for patronizing our videos. Again, this is Dr. DrEYPEI, preaching engineering for nation building.